Welcome back to the third edition of NFL Weekly. I'm Nick Sinafani.
I'm Brenden
and we're just going to take it right to Landover Field, where the Redskins are taking on the Bears in Monday Night Football. Mitch Trubisky, not the best game, but better than his first two so far. Maybe showing a little improvement, throwing 3 touchdowns, only 231 yards though. Case Keenum, looking solid until you look at those picks. 3 of them. The Bears defense is dominant again, and that carried them to a 31-15 win.
Game 2, we got the Vikings hosting the Raiders as Dalvin Cook has another huge game, 110 yards and a touchdown. He's coming out hot. Derek Carr, decent game, 242 yards and 2 interceptions. Not much to say about this one other than the Vikings take another one at home, 34-14.
Our next matchup is between the undefeated Buffalo Bills and the yet-to-win Cincinnati Bengals. Not too much to say about this one either, other than Josh Allen had a good game in the air and also on the ground. And also an impressive game by Auden Tate, maybe securing a bigger spot in this offense in the future. The Bills take this one 21-17 at home.
Next game, we take it down to Philly as the Eagles host the Lions. Carson Wentz, a solid game, 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. Miles Sanders, a rookie, what an impressive player. 13 attempts for 53 yards on the ground and then 2 receptions and 73 yards in the air. He's impressing these Philly fans right out here. Marvin Jones of the Lions, 100 yards and a touchdown. Big game, leading the Lions to a 27-24 win.
Here we have a game against 2 possible MVP candidates in Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Mahomes had an amazing game, absolutely torching this impressive Baltimore secondary, throwing for 374 yards and 3 touchdowns. 97 of those coming to the very impressive rookie Mecole Hardman. Travis Kelce also with another good game as usual, hauling in 7 for 89. With Mark Ingram having a very good game for the Baltimore Ravens, running for 103 and 3 touchdowns. This could be a possible AFC Championship matchup that we might see later in the season, but the Chiefs pull this one out at home, 33-28. That's been very.
Next, we're in Foxborough as the Patriots take on the Jets. Tom Brady, the GOAT, 306 yards and 2 touchdowns. 83 of those yards going to Josh Gordon, as he's been staying out of trouble and helping out the Patriots. On the other side, with the Jets, Luke Falk, the third-string quarterback, 98 yards and an interception. He's not getting that starting spot. Nothing much to say other than this Patriots defense is very impressive. 30-14, Patriots.
Another week, another blowout for the Dolphins. Dak Prescott, decent game. Not exactly picking up where he left off, only throwing for 246 and 2 touchdowns while also throwing a pick. But Zeke and Tony Pollard were a very good 1-2 punch this game. Zeke running for 125 and Tony Pollard running for 103 and a touchdown. Amari Cooper with another good game, hauling in 6 for 88 and 2 touchdowns. He's looking like he deserves this extension if they get it done quickly. Jason Witten, coming out of retirement, hasn't had an impressive first couple weeks. This game hauling in 3 for 54. But not much to say other than that. Cowboys take this one 31-6.
Next, we head down to Lambeau Field as the Packers take on the Broncos. Not much to say on the Packers side of this other than that they dominated on defense. Next, we head down to Lambeau Field as the Packers take on the Broncos. Aaron Rodgers, solid game with 235 yards and a touchdown. On the Broncos side of things, Phillip Lindsay, 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Packers defense kind of destroyed the Broncos in this one, 27-16 Packers.
Heading over to Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Colts are taking on the Falcons. Both quarterbacks had very solid games, with Matt Ryan throwing for 85% completion percentage, as well as 304 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Jacoby Brissett had an impressive game throwing for 310 and two touchdowns. The Colts had a very balanced receiving corps with 9 receivers catching a pass, and most of them catching 2 or 3 or 4, aside from T.Y. Hilton, who is still Brissett's favorite target, hauling in 8 for a touchdown. This led them over the Falcons 27-24.
Next, we head down to Tampa as the Buccaneers host the Giants and Daniel Jones in his rookie debut. Jameis Winston, 380 yards and 3 touchdowns, pretty solid, and all 3 of those touchdowns going to Mike Evans, who had an amazing week for his fantasy owners. 8 receptions, 190 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That is still not enough. Daniel Jones had an insane rookie debut with 336 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, on the ground, he had 28 yards and 2 touchdowns, adding up to 4 total touchdowns. Evan Ingram hauling in one of those passing touchdowns with 113 yards and a touchdown. Giants take this one in 32-31.
Now we go to Arizona, where Kyle Allen is making his first start of the season in relief of Cam Newton. Kyle Allen, very impressive as well, thrown for 261 and 4 touchdowns, 2 of those going to Greg Olsen, who continues his fantastic start to the year. And another fantasy beast, Christian McCaffrey, running all over the Cardinals for 153 yards and a touchdown, as well as catching 3 passes for 35 yards. Kyler Murray, kind of a weird stat line, completing 30 of 43, but only for 173 yards, meaning he only threw for 6 yards of completion, not very impressive. But he also put up 70 yards on the ground. But Kyle Allen led the Panthers over the Cardinals 38-20.
Next, we head west as the Seattle Seahawks host the New Orleans Saints in Teddy Bridgewater's first start of the 2019 season. Teddy Bridgewater, 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty solid for his first start of the season. Alvin Kamara, 16 attempts, 69 yards and a touchdown.
Nice. Also
has 92 yards receiving and a touchdown. On the other side, 406 yards and 2 touchdowns from Russell Wilson. 154 of those yards going to Tyler Lockett as he hauls in a touchdown as well. But that's still not enough to take down the New Orleans Saints. The Saints take this one 33-27.
We got a gross one here in San Francisco. Just a very sloppy game in general. Lots of turnovers, including 2 picks from Garoppolo and 1 from Mason Rudolph. Not too much to say about this one other than Juju's big play that resulted in a touchdown. But regardless, the Niners took this one to stay undefeated, while the Steelers stay winless.
Next, we got the Chargers and Texans. This was a very entertaining game as Phillip Rivers threw for 318 yards and 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen, 13 receptions, 183 yards and 2 touchdowns, destroying in fantasy. On the other hand, Deshaun Watson, 351 yards and 3 touchdowns, helping the Texans take a 27-20 win over the Chargers.
Next, we head over to First Energy Field, where the Browns are taking on the Rams on Sunday Night Football. A very surprising low-scoring game here. Jared Goff has a solid game, though, aside from his 2 picks, thrown for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Nice.
Baker Mayfield, again, struggles, completing 50% of his passes, not even 200 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Solid games from both Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp, who look like they've both established very good chemistry with Jared Goff, and that'll be big towards the end of the season. The Rams take this one to stay undefeated, while the Browns fall to 1-2.
The Stash himself takes over Thursday Night Football as the Jaguars lead 20-7 over the Tennessee Titans. Gardner Minshew throws for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. 76 of those yards going to DJ Chark, who is insane right now. Derrick Henry, on the other hand, 17 attempts, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Not much to say other than the Stash is looking good. 20-7, Jaguars.
Let's head into our Team of the Week segment, which we had to give to the New Orleans Saints for beating the Seahawks on the road. Teddy Bridgewater at the helm of the Saints offense, taking over for Drew Brees, was impressive in his first start, throwing for 177 and 2 touchdowns, and a fantastic game by Alvin Kamara on both the rushing end and the receiving end, as well as Michael Thomas, who also hauled in 54 yards and a touchdown, led them to a big win on the road against the Seahawks. A tough place to play.
And last but not least, we had the Player of the Week. Daniel Jones, in his rookie debut, he went 23 for 36, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's pretty impressive from your first game in the pros. He also had 4 rushes, 28 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's looking really good right now, and hopefully he can lead the Giants into a playoff berth.
But of course, we can't forget about this. Again, the mustache of the week goes to the one and only Gardner Minshew. That's all I gotta say. Thank you again for joining us on the 3rd edition of NFL Weekly. I'm Nick Senefani.
I'm Brenden Garula.
And of course, we'll be back next week to recap all of Week 4's excitement.